因为每个人心态也都很自信，所以我们现在已经打到9连胜了。
最近我们队伍有输有赢，没有全部输掉，状态还可以吧。IG 的话，他们是一个现在为止最强的队伍吧。
我觉得最猛的还是德赛吧。AJ 个人的话，感觉比较虚德赛，如果打起来的话，我感觉上路会比较重要一些。
好，进去回砍，一刀配合自己的队友砍死了这边的猪妹，油头也被打死，
直接闪现下来，想留这边的 IVOY。
저도 제가 생각하기에 플레이 게임 스타일이 상대를 귀찮게 하는 듯한 느낌을 계속 주는 스타일이라
IG 他们每个人的线下能力都特别强嘛，就我们只要对线不吃亏的话，感觉可以打到后期的话，也有一点机会会赢。
AJ 强势进场，以1扛4，油头再接控制，这一波瑞兹带了3个队友走，但是留下了可怜的挖掘机。
跟他们打的时候稍微小心一点 ，AJ 跟那中南的 TP 这个正常发挥，应该我们没有什么特别的压力。
IG 现在状态也很好，就战绩也很好，就他们现在一直在连胜嘛，我希望能在我们这里能赢他们吧。
Welcome back to the English broadcast of the LPL as we continue week 6 with day 4. With little less than 2 weeks left in cross-conference, it's the last chance for teams struggling in their groups to snag some much-needed wins to try and make their playoff runs. Teams such as FPX, who we'll be seeing at the start of the day, go up against Suning Gaming. We've already had a bunch of upsets and streaks made and also streaks lost so far in the LPL. We'll see if that keeps up coming into today in day 4 of week 6. Only a couple of weeks left of cross-conference. We'll see if the teams can make those playoff runs. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Polscam, and alongside me today is Zach Rusty Pie. Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We're back. More LPL, more exciting games today, actually. I'm very excited for our first set in particular, for no real reason. I just like the teams that much.
Yes, indeed. But this is, of course, day 4, so we did have some action on Tuesday and Wednesday that did happen. Unfortunately, we weren't able to cover them. However, we do have Dom to catch us up.
Thanks, guys. Week 6 saw Vici Gaming versus Rogue Warriors on Tuesday. Despite a strong presence in the early game, Rogue Warriors simply played the style they're so well known for at this point, scaling and winning with SMLZ. Game 1 saw Vici Gaming slowly losing ground until a team fight loss, and Game 2 ended even faster, with Flawless smashing his way to a series win, 2-0. Suning versus WE was a much more exciting series, going all the way to Game 3. Game 1 showed us Suning's stereotypical early and mid-game decisiveness, though WE's experience and patience allowed them to wait out until they saw an opening they could utilize, taking a 60-minute Game 1. Game 2 was nearly paltry by comparison at only 30 minutes, with Hacker and Knight bashing down the doors of WE's base before they could take the time to set up, evening up the series. Now Game 3 again saw Suning take early momentum, but Team WE, like in Game 1, were able to set up a valiant defense, and Xie on his Kassadin was able to wait out the game until his 6-item power spike, and from there, it was pentakill time for the Janitor champion. The resulting ace gave the series win to Team WE. Congrats on the penta, Xie. Wednesday opened with TOP versus OMG, and though TOP were the newcomers to OMG's new venue in Chengdu, they were the ones showing comfort and familiarity, claiming nearly every dragon in Game 1. Marin and his cohorts struggled, but eventually took that game. The second match saw Marin on his classic Renekton, the first of any major region, and adorned with his World Championship skin, he proceeded to attempt to put the beatdown onto Xion. That said, TOP and OMG still struggled, as Icon again showed his classic fancy footwork to drag the game out just that little bit longer, and finally it was a long siege from TOP to break the base and break apart OMG in their home stadium, giving the win to Team TOP, their second of 2018. The final set dropped Jingdong in the Snake Pit, and though they fared well, they ultimately fell as nearly all others have before them. JD again play with their new jungler Xiaohan and AD carry RD, who show surprising confidence despite being rookies for the team. Jingdong's Lumao did serious work on Bard, finding the picks necessary for JD to equalize the series after a Game 1 Snake win. The final game started off slow, but quickly escalated as Snake found a series of kills that snowballed into an early Baron. JD, zoned out of the pit by Crystal's Caitlyn, decide to take an unorthodox approach, taking the fight and flashing 4 members into the pit, with Braum the last to follow up. Ultimately, they lose the fight, ceding the Baron and the game to Snake, closing out the series 2-1, with Crystal's Caitlyn auto-attacking, scaring JD all the way back home. Can anyone escape the Snake Pit alive, or will IG and FPX keep the antidote all to themselves? At this point, only time will tell. That being said, there are only 2 weekends of cross-conference play left, and from there, it's a straight shot to playoffs. Who will fall and who will rise? Let's find out in Week 6 of the LPL.
We will indeed find out. Thank you so much for that, Dom, getting us all caught up. And of course, that will have big impacts on the standings coming out of Tuesday and Wednesday. So let's go ahead and take a look how the teams are currently shaping up, because it's not in the way. If this is the first time that you've just watched the LPL, you wouldn't think this is how the standings are going to look. You can see Snake at the very top claiming another win in their Snake Pit, 8-2. And on the opposite side in the Eastern Conference, IG and Rogue Warriors, 9-1 and 8-2 respectively.
Rogue Warriors looking commanding right now, running rampant through all of the cross-conference of the LPL. They've looked dominant, but it's not just the top of the table that we're going to be looking towards, Pulse. It's the bottom of the table, the place where a lot of excitement has to come about towards playoffs. Who can make that 4th place spot? Who can actually cement themselves there? Jingdong lost to Snake. TOP won, however, and they're starting to creep ever closer to the top of that playoffs contention spot.
Yeah, and in the Western Conference, you look towards WE, but right behind them, FPX, and behind them, OMG. So definitely some surprise results coming into Week 6 as we continue that one. However, let's go ahead and take a look at today's matches, as we have Suning Gaming taking on FPX for our first matchup of today, both 5-6, and IG will take on Bilibili Gaming at the end of today.
Yeah, Suning Gaming FPX is an exciting first set, so stay tuned for that one. But most importantly, Invictus Gaming against Bilibili is a battle of the top laners, and it is one battle that you do not want to miss, as 2 completely different styles clash.
Yeah, it would be very fun to watch that one unfold. However, we are catching up in the LPL. We are now on 8.4, so we have skipped the 8.3 patch, and we went straight from 8.2 to 8.4. Now, that will have a lot of implications on the LPL here, Rusty.
Yep, certainly will. And the first place that we have to look, Pulse, is one thing that we have that no one else anywhere else has, and that's the Lee Sin. Now, the Tracker's Knife has been removed, which is the reason we bring up Lee Sin. Lee Sin hasn't actually changed at all, but is in a very difficult spot to still exist. So junglers like Flawless may not find the same success now that there's those free wards missing. And the reason that this is important isn't just Lee Sin, it is the fact that the Tracker's Knife is gone. Wards have to be placed somewhere, have to be found somewhere on Summoner's Rift, and we are starting to see Eye of the Watchers in mid lane rise in priority, and suddenly a lot of the focus from these teams isn't just the jungle. It isn't just that Tracker's Knife warding for the team being a tank. It's unlocking your mid laners, unlocking your top laners if they're playing the Vladimirs, and helping your jungler. And to me, all of this speaks towards a lot more early aggression, a lot more mid-game aggression, if nothing else, teaming up and making bigger plays.
Yeah, of course, that will have very much different impacts depending on the region you are in, but because we are the LPL, we're probably going to be roaming anyway, but we're probably going to be going for those plays just with wards in different places. Also, we have changes to jungle, mid lane, into the jungle. Skarner's pretty much just #1 right now.
Yep, Skarner is absolutely the best alongside Sejuani and Zac, but Skarner is more often banned than he is picked, so you will probably just see more Sejuanis and Zacs running around. However, Skarner is the best. He is the be-all end-all of junglers right now, and whilst we're seeing Skarner, there is a champion that we're not seeing in the mid lane, Pulse, and that is Zoe, because 8.4 just removed her from the Rift, and I for one am happy to see that, but she's gone.
Yeah, I believe she went from 91% appearance rate in the LPL. We'll see if that just completely drops off the face of the planet, because as you said, big changes to Zoe. However, we are seeing some new champions come to the Rift in the form of Armored Bears.
Yes, we definitely are. We're seeing Volibear start to exist. He was played once, I believe, in the NALCS, and it won. It's an okay champion now, and the reason that Volibear's come back so much is the change to the E. They've done a lot of other things to him, extra movement speed when he dashes towards targets, so you might see him in the jungle, you might see him in the top lane, and it's a flex that could potentially be seen. But the fact that the E has changed now, and it's a mini knock-up, is absurdly strong for Volibear, and that is the biggest reason that you will start to see him running around at the moment. It may not be like the #1 pick, but you will see him.
Yeah, and talking about mid lane as well, you're just talking about Zoe, but we have AP itemization changes as well, a bunch of new items. Build paths have also changed up, and also how some of our older items have also changed in the way that they operate now.
Yeah, certainly the case. Of course, Tear of the Goddess is something you might see a whole lot more of running around on mid lane, such as Talia even. In the LCK the other night, we saw a Tear of the Goddess rushed there, and the fact that it gives 20% CDR, has extra flat mana when you upgrade it now as a standalone item is very strong. But not just the Tear. I'm actually looking towards the Haunting guys as my AP item to keep my eyes on, because it unlocks champions like Rumble to be seen in the top lane once again, a high possibility of that. Yep. We've seen Swain here and there as well that I think you should just keep in the back of your mind. We might see it crop up. Teams like FPX in our first set, they could probably do it. And then you look towards the mid lane and things like Malzahar, Ryze, all of these damage over time, Cassiopeia, champions will probably benefit the most from this as well, and you'll see so much more of them.
Yeah, because we have players in the LPL, especially in top lane, who are very want to go for different types of picks up there. You know, we look towards the Shy, you look towards Gimgoon especially, they'll pick different types of picks up there and try and innovate. So we could see Volibear, we could see Swain coming to the top lane or the mid lane as well. And also the top lane has changed. We had bone plating now being a new thing in 8.4. Now, it's interesting because it's like, we want to add more diversity in top lane, but it's like, well, if you don't take bone plating, you're probably going to lose trade and then lose the lane.
They haven't added diversity in the runes, so to speak, by putting bone plating there. I actually think what they've done is, like, and I've been playing mid lane support AD carry for the past week, just testing out the rune. I kind of take it on all of them. Like, I went to play Vayne the other day, and why would you not have bone plating against someone that's going to poke you down like a Kalista and just out-trade her instead? So I think that bone plating is very strong, something that you may see a lot more of, and with the changes to Inspiration Tree, whilst in competitive, it would be super good still to have the free boots, you know, or a stopwatch or something if they're a Zed. I actually think there is a lot of merit in experimenting now and going towards something in the Resolve Tree, like the bone plating, maybe having second wind as well, getting some extra health back when you get damaged as a matchup-based thing. But for top lane, I think you're absolutely right. That's going to be the #1 priority up there. Every Cho'Gath in the world is running Grasp of the Undying, so it's naturally just in that tree, and we'll see a lot of Cho'Gath.
Yeah, 100%. And you're just talking about stopwatch as well. That's moved to 10 minutes now when it starts to be activatable. And I know in the LPL, it's probably one of the first regions to really use stopwatch aggressively and to dive and make plays happen. But I wonder if now we'll see less and less of the stopwatch come out, or whether it will just kind of shift now, because you can actually get to level 6, use your ultimate aggressively, and someone just to sit there and stopwatch. So it will have different effects in different regions, but wonder if the LPL will actually shift away from that now.
The biggest thing about the old stopwatch was at like the level 6 mark you would have it available. So a lot of teams' first ganks may not be successful. The second gank is what you'd be looking at to try and find some success, and you have to keep timers on those stopwatches. But now, because there is actually a very low chance that people will prioritize the stopwatch over something else, like the boots, just because boots is way too valuable. And you can get it before 10 minutes if you get kills already, and your opponents won't have boots at that stage. So there's only an advantage to go for free boots unless you're rushing boots as a first priority item. So you will see that as a higher priority, but how that affects the LPL, I'm not sure, because diving was availability for them. They had the stopwatch to dive now with that first ultimate, opposed to using it defensively when someone dives me. So I do wonder if that slows down the pace of the dives that we have, actually slows down the timing of them even.
Yeah, 100%. We could definitely see some different movements towards different types of runes here coming into the LPL and how that affects the different teams. Is there anything else in the patch, Rusty, that we haven't hit on that you feel like is relevant specifically to the LPL?
Banner of Command.
Banner of Command, yeah, I definitely have to touch on that one.
Yeah, Banner of Command. I mean, it's super strong. It's something that you will see here and there. A lot of supports are even rushing it as their first primary item now over something like the Locket. So what I'm hoping to see is, not just because Banner of Command is the strongest thing ever, we've actually seen people learning and growing in different regions to compensate for it existing as ways to beat it. The LPL has already got the recipe to beat Banner of Command pretty down. That is, fight them if they ever exist and have a Banner of Command. But it's the other parts of it, you know, like, will they continue to just build Banner? Will they diversify and actually commit to a Locket? Again, as an example, KT, Mata, does still rush the Locket. He doesn't sign up to the Banner of Command rushing mantra that everyone else in the world has. There's still styles that can go towards the old school builds, and those styles can beat the Banner of Command builds, especially if they start snowballing.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of players in the top lane specifically who will play carries, you know. It's just like we have more exceptions to the rule than we do people who follow the rule, so it's like you can pick up a Fiora, something that does well into those minions. Even you can go full damage Shen with Kleptomancy. We could also bring that out into the top lane. But then the mid lane as well, like, we'll see if some of the mid laners will start picking up tanks and also moving towards the Banner of Command. Like, you have Doinby, right? Well, Doinby, instead of building tank on AP carries actually just build tank on tank and then go Banner of Commands in the mid lane.
Well, he's going to build tank either way, Pulse, so there's a high chance, yes, that he's going towards tank on tanks. Don't be surprised if the Innovator himself picks up something like a Nautilus in the mid lane, or a Scion, of course, something that we have seen.
Exactly, but we are going to get into our first matchup of today, and it is FPX going up against Suning Gaming. Now, both of these two teams very much in the middle of the pack, sitting at 5 and 6 respectively. Well, it's both of them, so that doesn't really fit there, but you can see the players on your screen right now, and we'll see who picked this up, because you look towards Suning Gaming, and you were like, well, they are definitely the favorites coming into this, but not by a large margin.
Yeah, that was what we said before the show in a conversation as well, right? Like, there's no major upset in this set. There is definitely a favorite and an underdog coming into it. FunPlus Phoenix would always be considered the underdogs here, but if they win, you'd be like, that's really good for them. I'm not surprised that they won. That's just kind of the state of the standings between these teams, and the inconsistencies that they constantly show as rosters, which I think is the biggest deal here. If FPX just show up on the day and Suning Gaming don't, well then it's a one-sided affair. But at the same time, what I want to see is both of them to be prepared, to show up ready to play, and to play their best.
Sure, we can go ahead and take a look at the rosters. Xiao Ao, Hacker, Knight, Fury, and Yoon will be manning Suning Gaming, so no changes here. Hacker going to be maintaining the starting spot in jungle here.
And I do feel like this patch helps Suning Gaming just a little bit. As we go over to FPX, it's Gimgoon, Pepper, Bing, LWX, and Crisp.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll see what Pepper has cooking for us today, because Pepper has looked better and better in recent games, though FPX have gotten the chance to play against everyone in the Eastern Conference. And we're like, well, hey, FPX, like, when are you going to start picking up wins? And it seems like against some of these middle of the pack to low of the pack teams, FPX, that's where they've found their stride.
Yeah, FPX have found their strengths. They're still Suning Gaming, to be fair, right? So that's where this matchup becomes rather delicate. If you're looking at Suning Gaming as dead in the middle of the pack, they beat everyone below them, they lose to everyone above them. Well, then FPX, if we're calling them underdogs, should just definitively lose, right?
Sure.
But that's definitely not the case here. That's just the expectation that we have. And the reason that I don't think it will be the case is because we're on a new patch and because FPX are in this game. I just blatantly believe that that is going to favor FPX. Suning Gaming are slow, trying to be a macro team. They're trying to actually slow down the pace and be super calm and methodical with what they're doing, whereas FunPlus Phoenix are just chaos incarnate. Like, they just want to do crazy things, pick crazy things, have new strategies, and innovate constantly. And on the first day, in the first set of a brand new patch in the LPL, I have a feeling FPX can do something wild, or Suning Gaming will not be refined as they used to be when it comes to the macro strategy.
All right, Rusty, what does wild look like in this? Specifically, what are you expecting to come up from FPX? So we spoke about this when we talked about like bone plating, how that affects top lane, mid lane even is going to change by itemization changes. So do you think it's going to be itemization? Do you think it's going to be draft? Like, what's going to change?
My initial thoughts here, and I definitely don't know if this is going to happen, is that we will see a Scion flexed as an earlier rotation for the side of FPX. I just think putting it mid lane, you know, Bing does play the tanks, he plays the Galio.
Sure.
That's just something that I would be keeping my eyes on as they try and protect LWX.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to see if they actually do that in the end. For now, that's going to do it from the analyst desk, though. We are going to send it over to the casters to get us into game.
Thank you, guys. It's me, Dom, back again. We've got Clement, and we are ready to hop into this game one between Suning and FPX. And, you know, I know he's a color caster, and he's an expert analyst, and he's a pro player, but I kind of disagree with Rusty a little bit. I think Suning are going to be nice and decisive during the mid-game. I think they're going to look at FPX, and they're going to say, Chaos, get me in there.
Yeah, and I really do think that Suning is going to come out pretty far ahead in the early game. Even against a team like WE, they smashed the early game very, very hard, man. So for me, it's about how well can FPX hang on to the early game. And talking about the matchup, we are on patch 8.4.
Yeah.
A lot of what we decide is going to happen is going to come down to our evaluation of the patch. And what I think is really important on the patch is the mid and jungle combination. Now, you cannot use your Tracker's Knife anymore to keep eyes on the enemy jungler, but what you can do is walk into his jungle. So the 2v2 is ever more important.
We'll have to keep an eye on Pepper and Bing and Hacker and Knight, because as you said, that vision is so vital for these two teams to track and monitor. I mean, we heard we're going to be hearing a little bit later from how Hacker looking for this matchup, his expectations in playing against the likes of Pepper, who is a more aggressive jungler, because we know FPX thrive in the chaos. Pepper is usually the one to instigate it, though Gimgoon will be the guy who finishes it.
Yeah, and this is one of the matchups where I feel I'm very worried for Suning Gaming, because Pepper, on a one-on-one can outduel someone like Hacker. Hacker has been doing very well. It's his ninth straight game that he started for Suning. They also have Tien as another jungler, but the way he plays is he goes into the enemy jungler with the pushing lane, and he places wards. He's the best at keeping tabs on the enemy jungler. Highest jungle control rate in the LPL, but he's going to have to fight against Pepper now. It's not enough to just place a ward and leave.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and this is where we look to the likes of his mid laner, that pushing mid lane that you talk. Why Knight is playing champions like Corki, why he's playing champions like Taliyah, so that he can push and follow up.
And it's really interesting because the first champion we saw Knight right there was actually the Syndra, but now we're going into ban picks. We can go a little bit more into the Taliyah pick. Now this is the #1 priority, the big pick for mid lane right now. Like we said, the 2v2 mid control is super important. This has been almost 100% ban pick in the LCK. So a lot of people are looking at Taliyah and your jungler setting up vision for the entire map. Now the other top laner, which this is very interesting, hasn't been nerfed and isn't a tank in this patch, is Camille. So Camille's only the last fighter up there, and both of these top laners like the fighter matchups, so they are going to first pick it.
Already you can see a quick priority for Suning in their solo lanes. It will be interesting to see where that Camille actually goes, if Hacker takes it and uses it to try to invade with Knight, or if that goes into the top half of the map for Xiao Al to give him something to fight back against Gimgoon. But
is he going to do it?
Is he about to lay down the gauntlet? He is. LeBlanc
wow, this is a huge step for Bing. Now, Bing is one of those mid laners that we don't really think is in the top of the LPL, hasn't shown great mechanics, but this is one of the counter matchups that we've been seeing in the LCK popping up. You now have more time to abuse your level 6 power spike, get those kills in before Taliyah can do anything, and it really does give Taliyah a bit of a rough matchup. She will have to go into the Seraphs rather than into the Ludens early.
Well, definitely keep an eye on this matchup as Bing, he's been sort of growing into his own since his entry here into the LPL, not quite seeing the star-studded rise like the likes of Knight, who's really just taken off. But after a great performance on Galio a little over a week ago, it seems like he's finally found that wind under his wings, that momentum that he needs to feel confident in his mid lane. As taking LeBlanc into Taliyah, that's a scary matchup. If you ever find yourself distorting over the Unraveled Earth, that is a bad place to be.
Yeah, but LeBlanc does have a lot more kill power once level 6 comes, and that's what we're going to look for the matchup. We have the traditional pushing lane of Knight coming out, the LCK kind of strategy, and then into the jungle. Well, FPX is going to try to stop that with dueling power, one-on-one solo style with that LeBlanc pick. And it's really interesting because this matchup, while we can't see the bans going on right now, we can talk a little bit about the mid matchups. It's about, do you want to go the Seraphs, or if you want to go the Ludens for extra push. Now, in this matchup, it kind of forces the Taliyah to play back a little bit, get the shielding from the Seraphs first.
We'll see how Knight decides to play this, if that will force Hacker to pull back, if Knight is also playing defensive. We've got Jarvan now locked in for Pepper, very powerful, jungle champion on a very powerful jungler. He gave it the hover, and then we pulled out. I think the champs guy was like, no, it's too soon. We can't allow people to be influenced by this. All right, he's gonna swap it over to Skarner. Now we've got the bans all properly lined up. It was Fiora and Sion taken away from Gimgoon, where Sejuani and Zac were taken away from Hacker. So it looks like FPX were expecting that Camille to go top. And if this Leona gets locked in, actually the Leona is going for support, but the Skarner locked in, we know that Camille is going top.
Definitely right now. There are no hard counters to Camille, really. We've seen people pick the Fiora or the Jax into it, but that means that it's going to be a locked fighter versus fighter matchup in the top lane. I'm super hyped for that happening.
Yeah, ooh, Thresh now locked in for Fury in the bottom lane, tagging along with the likes of, with Yoon, tagging along with the likes of Fury. Now we're looking for the final pick for Gimgoon on this top half. Normally FPX puts so much weight on his words as he is such a star-studded solo laner. And as the clock runs down, he's going to lock it in. Malphite, LeBlanc, Jarvan.
So a lot of new picks coming out for patch 8.4, even the Malphite coming in. Now this might not be the typical tank you're thinking about. In High Challenger, we've seen Sunfire and then into Triforce. Malphite actually has very good stats as just a fighter champion, so that top lane is going to be explosive no matter what. The big point of the map, however, is still going to be the mid lane. How will that turn out? If Knight is going to get ganked and shut down early on, then the matchup actually looks very different. And in the bot lane, this is kind of a weird matchup because usually the Thresh doesn't do that well into the Alistar. They're looking for a much more defensive lane in the bot lane for Suning.
We'll see how this works out as the coaches go ahead and shake hands. Suning and FPX, so much is on the line for these two teams, 5 and 6, both of them on the cusp of that final playoff spot for their respective groups. And Suning, we call them the playoff gatekeepers. They've beaten every team that's worse than them and lost to every team that's better than them. Now they go up against the team that's exactly equal with them in the standing, 5 and 6 versus 5 and 6. How is this going to shake out? Is it the chance for Suning to climb up and try something new?
This pretty much means that Suning's only chance to climb the ladder is through these cross-conference games, and they are looking to put themselves a bit further than Jingdong. Jingdong do have the head-to-head against them, so they will need to improve their record if they want to stay in playoff range.
Certainly going to be close. Meanwhile, FPX on the other side, they finally found some momentum. Their chaotic style starting to come together against the cross-conference teams that aren't quite accustomed to it. And now with this newfound wind under their wings, it's up to Fun plus Phoenix to try to bring it back against Suning and prove that they're the ones who deserve to make playoffs.
And they're really running the anti-stopwatch type of composition. Tons of pick coming out from FPX. Now this type of composition wouldn't fly just 2 patches ago because everyone could dodge everything from the Malphite, from the LeBlanc when she hits level 6. Not anymore. That 4-minute extra window will allow FPX Chaos style to reign supreme.
Hear the fans cheering on. Suning trying to represent that Suning pride. FPX doing the same across from them as we get a brief memory of something fast and fun with some of these Crystal Spires, but they're not going to result in too much excitement early on as quickly taken by Suning and set up, just trading the top half and the bottom half. But look at that. There is so much crowd control on FPX. If they ever find Hacker out of position or catch Knight trying to find a roam, that is one very dead champion if FPX just grab 2 or 3 people, stack them all up.
Basically, that is true. Both of these teams are running very heavy pick type of compositions, and when this happens, whoever gets the first pick usually comes out ahead, the victor of this matchup. So I think a lot of it really is going to come back once again to that mid lane priority. We're seeing some of the new key runes, right? Keystone Masteries right here. And for the Skarner, because he can go for the Unsealed Spellbook, it's really important to notice that he has gone for the Predator.
Deciding instead to chase down enemy champions. We've seen what happens when Skarner starts to pick up some movement speed, though. Now here in the bottom lane, LWX and Crisp going to take some early lane control as Leash is going to be gifted over to Hacker. And on the opposite side, Pepper doing the same as Bing taking a very unfavorable trade along with the Knight who takes an early level 2.
Such a beating coming out. LeBlanc in the early game really doesn't have much say in this matchup, gets pushed in very easily. She's really waiting on that post 6. But this does give a lot of chance for a Hacker to kind of set up how that will happen. In this patch, 8.4, I really think if you have a lead in your jungler, it becomes very hard for the enemy team to come back. You can't constantly go into the enemy jungle, and they're not going to have that defensive vision, especially in the top side, to counteract that.
And now take a look at this. Pepper going buff, Raptors buff, finds himself in the river. That means Hacker will be able to head up on that top side as the junglers effectively swap halves of the map. Meanwhile, Xiao Al happily pushing into Gimgoon on the likes of this Camille, though the matchup certainly could become a lot more exhilarating later on. And it seems as though both of the mid laners seem to know where the junglers are. You can see Bing shadowing towards that bottom half, Knight shadowing towards that top half. Nobody wants to take any chances.
Suning has a very easy read just because they warded the buff at the start with their level 1, so they definitely understand where each jungler is, and you can see the warding in the bot lane from Yoon, trying to cover all their bases. They're not going to get ganked here from Pepper. And wow, this is really interesting. Crisp actually bring the new rune we have, the tonic rune.
Exciting to see how that's going to work.
Yeah, it pretty much gives you free movement speed.
Knight is thinking about heading up top, but Hacker has already left, and though the highway has been cleared behind the Baron, there's no traffic. He decides not to head up, Swings back down to the mid lane as Bing, I'm sure, has been pinging Mia the whole time. Finally sees that Taliyah back in. But this is exactly what we expected out of the likes of Suning Gaming. Knight and Hacker setting up a highway for one of the two to invade and then the other to roam and follow up. Hacker paved the way and Knight roamed towards the top half. Wasn't able to make anything happen, but if GameGoon is not always on his toes, he could be caught out like that.
Yeah, he's playing the lane very defensively. We did see that he did start for the top side, so that was a bit of time lost in the lane for him. This matchup typically isn't very good until he gets one defensive item, and then he can use that efficiency of the early Sunfire to get back in the lane a little bit.
No recall just yet out of GimGoon, saving up for that little bit of extra gold. In the bottom lane, Fury eating just a bit of harass. Here you can see some of the jungle stats. Pepper, number 14 in KDA, 2.89. His opponent, Hacker, on the opposite side in first with 5.63. That just speaks to the synergy of the jungle mid.
Hacker definitely a much more consistent jungler. He isn't always going for the crazy plays like Pepper. If we're talking about mechanical prowess, I would say Pepper is probably a better jungler, but Hacker's got the brains. He knows how to play smart, how to play around his lanes, and has been making much fewer mistakes.
Ooh, Knight immediately flashes the ethereal chains. No chance for Pepper to try to get in there. And that's exactly what we just saw from the stats right there. Pepper, very high first blood percentage for his team. He shows up mid, and we see Knight have to burn a flash. Whereas Hacker on the other side, he was in 19th out of junglers for wards placed per minute. So Tracker's Knife probably not going to affect him too much, but should be keeping an eye on the likes of Pepper through other means.
Yes, Pepper definitely the one that to always go warriors, always go very aggressive. We made this joke with Frostcurrent to say, hey, what's his warrior to Cinderhulk type of ratio? And Pepper's answer would probably be, I can't divide by 0.
Yeah, exactly. As Hacker with the first Predator, he gets his boots, heads on up top. GimGoon has flash and ultimate, but teleport from Bing scares him back.
Still a very big win for Suning right there, getting a summoner, and this is going to alleviate a lot of the pressure from their pushing bot lane. What I'm seeing out of the Drake right now is this is kind of a bad situation for Suning Gaming. Bing has already hit level 6. Their bot lane is both of their AD and support have a better matchup, and it's an Infernal Drake. So you really want to look toward FPX making the most out of this situation, trying to punish people that might come and contest this Infernal.
For now, though, it's just maintaining vision around this side, still using that yellow trinket in replacement for the lack of Tracker's Knife. Here you can see the lost chapter changes, the CDR on the item. And still, Knight looks like he is going to be heading for the likes of that Morellonomicon over the course of this laning phase, still sticking with the very safe item. And of course, Bing going for that Gunblade, as is standard on LeBlanc.
Yeah, you can see how FPX is already choking out vision from the enemy team. SNG, they have no vision in River whatsoever. And if you look at the jungler builds, they're really far off from getting anything. Oh,
what
this
a
is the
yeah, LWX goes very low, and the Ignite is even used by Yoon to bully him out of lane. Suddenly all the vision that FPX were trying to set up might become put at risk.
Yes, does give a window for SNG to venture out into the river. LWX, he was having a very good laning time, but unforced error right there gives everything back.
And of course, stepping into the trap, always painful, as LWX with the likes of Fleet Footwork, his first recall is into Pickaxe and completed Ninja Tabby. So he looks like he's continuing to expect harass and auto attacks from the likes of Fury during the course of this laning phase. Still no recall out of Fury, but it looks like he might just head back and finish off now. 72 CS for that first recall.
Yeah, and that was a 14 CS swing just with a single trade right there. The Caitlyn was having a hard time, but getting that Thresh hook in saved a lot of the problems there. And I guess...
Yeah, they're actually invading on the blue buff right now. GimGoon's even pulled over as Hacker. Gonna try to fight this. Just scaring FPX back.
Ooh, Suning do have an extra member right there, so FPX understand they're not seeing Thresh on the bot lane. Instantly back off.
Trying not to take any risks. I can't believe I just said that. Talking about FPX not taking risks. Holy cow, what year is it? But still, they're playing it very patient. 8.5 minutes in. Pepper still looking for first blood. Oh, Yoon might be trying to bait this. He's caught forward. That's the Lantern. Pulls himself back, but goes down. Cataclysm first blood.
instantly gets him killed, and that's kind of the effect we're seeing with junglers not having Tracker's Knife. There is no vision on either side of the river. Makes ganking junglers a bit stronger. This is my prediction as well as Rusty's prediction. And FPX using it very well, catching out the Taliyah without the flash, instantly kill her, and that's going to change the matchup in quite a lot of number of ways. It's going to allow Pepper to go in and keep tabs on Hacker much easier.
And as a result of that death, Knight, if you were taking a look at his items while it happened, he bought Sorcerer Boots, then I'm sure he paused, opened up the enemy team, saw their crowd control, hit undo, and completed Mercury Treads instead. So talking about that crowd control, Suning, recognizing the potential threat that presents, decided to take it safe instead. Still an extended laning phase out of Fury and Yoon. Still no towers being broken. Nobody has even looked towards that Infernal Dragon just yet, as Rift Herald is about to make his way onto the map. But like you said, that is a slight advantage for Pepper now that he has just a bit more gold in his pocket.
Overall, in 8.4, we expect the lanes to be less aggressive and for more ganks to come in. It's harder to know which side the enemy jungler is on. And in professional play, if you don't see the enemy jungler, you're typically not going to go in for an all-in. So lanes are going to quiet down. But for ganking junglers, that's actually very good because they can go anywhere and there's going to be less anticipation for them.
Oh, that's going to be the engage onto Yoon. He flashes back. Pepper shows up. Flay sends him backwards as Yoon tries to kite it out. LWX running forward. Fury trying to body block. And we'll keep him alive, but here's Hacker racing in. He's going to catch up, trying to get some damage over the wall. The hook goes right in between them as teleport is going to be completed. Bink goes forward, as does Pepper. Still not quite enough to finish off these kills, though, as Pepper is kiting it back to heal, and he is still alive. Somehow, FPX find the kill and escape.
A bit of a mistake from Knight right there. Ends the wall within a wall, so can't get over there to assist fast enough. There really wasn't much time difference from Bing coming down with the teleport, and they're able to clean up another kill from Hacker.
Now that is 2-0 for FPX. The assist onto Pepper, that kill gold going on to LWX might equalize that poor trade that he took just a bit earlier. Still, no teleport from either top laner as well. I'd love to have been watching the minimap while that fight was happening and seen, okay, am I going to back away or is he going to back away?
Yeah,
Which of us is going to use CC first?
Top laners knew that if they pressed the teleport, it was going to be a free trade for the other side. So they held on to that, are going to continue to scale. But this game, like we've said, 8.4, it is about the 2v2. This matchup itself, it is about the 2v2 kind of matchup. And FPX have been coming up ahead in both sides. And this is huge for Bing. Like, Bing is the guy that has had a pretty bad start to the LPL overall. The last few weeks have been getting better and better for him on Taliyah and on Azir as well. And this time, he's stepping into the arena with a new champion, with LeBlanc.
Yeah, and that's a very aggressive champion. To me, it's the Galio that we saw him on, where he flash taunted onto 3 people with a full AP build. But now, with his team pressing up in the mid lane and in the bottom lane, they're going to contest the red buff. Smite allows Pepper to secure it. And Suning, they're slowly giving up ground on this side of the map, perhaps feeling a bit demoralized after giving up that kill in the bottom lane.
And it's just so easy to do something like this in patch 8.4. The enemy jungler doesn't have defensive wards to really contest his own jungle. A lot of the times, there's no defense being put right there. And if you have a stronger 2v2, then you just walk in. We do expect a lot of games to be kind of suffocating victories early on, once one side gets their mid and jungle rolling.
Well, so far 1-0-1 for Pepper and 0-0-2 for Bing. He's clearing the waves rather effectively as, again, Pepper just walks in. That forward control ward is doing some great value for him. As Knight finally pulled over just a bit more to help Hacker try to clear out some of this vision. But take a look at the trade-off. In the bottom lane, LWX and Crisp have been unlocked in the meanwhile, and are now there looking at roaming right back into the jungle.
Yeah, Fury and Yoon have been holding on to this matchup surprisingly well, even getting the CS lead in this lane, which is rather surprising. Like, both of their lanes, Caitlyn has a very hard time trading with the Varus. Varus can do short trades and then just back away with his abilities. But as a Caitlyn, you pretty much have to auto-attack your entire way. Much slower trade. But FPX, they are going to look for the Infernal Drake. They have complete vision control over this side.
No teleport ready for Bing, so he's going to have to try to convince Knight that he's still there. You can see the decoy in the mid lane scaring Knight away from the minion wave. and just buying enough time to allow Pepper to finish it off single-handedly while the bottom lane pushes, while the top lane pushes. FPX showing some impressive macro as they keep Suning locked down in all 3 lanes.
I think it's impressive Bing. Now, while we did think that the patch itself might not have fit FPX very well, the reason was that their 2v2 wasn't really the best. A lot of times their early game failures have been because of that 2v2, going over aggressive early on, getting punished for it. But if Bing is going to continuously show up like he has in the past few weeks, then it's no problem. 8.4 is going to be fine for FPX.
We should certainly hope so, as FPX still maturing that much more as a team in their entry here into the LPL. Suning trying to do the same, just a few more months worth of history and age behind them, and showing a bit more experience in how they're trying to adapt, and it seems like taking a slower approach to this patch 8.4 as Rusty predicted. Turns out I was wrong. Sorry, Rusty. You can absolutely rub that in when we get to the commercial break, but
I was there with you.
Yeah.
Wrong side of history.
Suning, they're taking it slow. They're just trying to hold on. Still only 400 gold between the two teams. Nothing too explosive outside of that Infernal Dragon. And like you said, it might just be that slow, choking out early game that FPX are trying to go for.
Yeah. Now, Suning do have the better late game in terms of just the Caitlyn, but we do have to mention that both sides are still playing catch compositions. Whoever gets the first catch will usually win the entire team fight. And FPX, they have the lanes that can move first. The bot lane's been freed, the jungler's been freed, and also the mid lane has more priority. So it's really about how much can FPX leverage their lane advantages so far, and if they can get like a massive snowball going.
You can see FPX is already looking for a pick. They've got Moby boots on Crisp. He's got Flash and Ignite. Just sits in the brush with Pepper to zone Suning back while LWX pushes bottom. And now that the recall has been completed, LWX has finished off his Guinsoo. Suddenly, if LWX shows up, that pick is quite a bit more intimidating. The wave is pushed in, but there's really nothing left for Suning here on this side of the map. They don't feel safe pushing up to the turret because of the lack of vision onto Pepper and the roaming of Bing.
Play.
Xiao Al trades with Gimgoon, drops the ultimate. Look at the... How did you know that was a big play before it even happened? That was amazing.
I just said look at the Bing play. He was...
Oh, the Bing play.
Yeah, they were sending LeBlanc top, so it made sense that Gimgoon would try to trade in that moment because that meant that Xiao Al wouldn't be willing to trade back because he wasn't sure if the LeBlanc was actually a real LeBlanc or a fake one. So we were looking for a trade to happen in the top lane.
That said, we do see Xiao Al recall safely, completes his Triforce, and uses his teleport back on the top side of the map. Now, Gimgoon looks like he's walking, holding on to that Summoner Spell, but he does not have the Unstoppable Force. Still, Suning respect this. They fall back from their own jungle. That ward line is just creeping further forward every recall.
Yeah, and you can only defend this pretty much with control wards, which cost a lot of money and are cleared out very easily. You don't have the stealth wards to really hold the line anymore. And we can see Pepper, pretty much, he knows he has better contact strength at this point. He's just going to live in the enemy jungle.
Just stepping forward time and time again. He's got the timer on the red buff because he took it last time. That being said, Xiao Al roaming towards the mid lane. I don't think he's been spotted unless he went through that tri-bush behind blue. But now it's the fight over red. Yoon is going to start it as Hacker quickly races forward. They see Crisp, they see Pepper. Smite, level 10 for Pepper, level 9 for Hacker. But without Fury having any big items, this is going to be a really difficult fight to contest. And they give it up once again.
Yeah, and there's another thing we have to mention is that Gimgoon does have the teleport lead over in the top lane. So with Suning not really sure how much of their jungle has been infiltrated by wards, they just have to give it up. On 8.4, we do expect contact junglers like brawling with people, to be a bit stronger. So we're talking about the likes of Karsa, MLXG, getting a leg up. But on the flip side, junglers that typically play around their vision and play to have a controlling style, guys like Ning and SKS might have a harder time.
Here we can see Pepper feeling very happy about 8.4 as Bing roams towards top and then still sends the decoy to try to distract Xiao Al, but it seems as though Suning have grown wise to that. And Hacker was even on the top side of the map just in case a brawl were to break out, but still not too much excitement as Xiao Al looking for the proc, but Pepper is there. Oh, and he goes back in. He sees the Jarvan and immediately turns around. That said, Gimgoon thinks the vision was enough and lets him go.
Yeah, didn't want to risk that. It's kind of interesting. I think they should have went in right there.
Now recall completed from Suning. Static Shiv finished for Fury and Yoon. They're making their way to the top half of the map. He's trying to bait it right now. They're racing in, but he's already dead. Here's what's going to happen, though. Suning are going to try to turn this around as Crisp goes for a fight in the river before FPX can collapse. They've split Hacker off from his team. He can't take the Lancer. He finally gets out of there, flashes away, but Bing chases and locks down the kill. Now he's going to eat some auto attacks from Fury, but do they have enough? Finally, they lock him down. It's 2 kills for 2 when it's all said and done.
Yeah, good reaction from Suning Gaming right there, trying to shift in. They didn't get the surprise they wanted in the top lane. That was their reason for Shao walking forward was they had the bait from Thresh and Caitlyn. That didn't work out for them, but they did get a good fight, forcing FPX to come up the ramp, and such a good trap coming out from Fury to really trap him there, not allowing him to leave.
And now that means that Knight proven me wrong with the new build path. Luden's Echo completed first.
Okay, so there are 2 big options for Taliyah in the mid lane. Oh, let's watch the fight now. Suning already down 1 member, but still committing to the fight right here. They want Hacker out. Hacker already too low, falls over to Bing. But then look at what Fury does here. Perfect trap placement, forces Bing to just pace forward and back, not really having any chance, and they managed to pick up 2 kills. Like, Fury's target selection was excellent, able to get Pepper over the wall as well.
And now, as a result of that, it is going to get some more gold into Suning's pocket. The Weaver's Wall attempted to stall LWX, but coming out of the replay, that's going to be the bottom tier 1 taken. Now, Suning, they're grouped up all around the Baron. They force Pepper back, trying to chase Xiao Al. Thinking of a dive as 5 members of Suning are grouped up, but can't make anything happen here before Xiao Al finally looks to head back to the bottom half of the map. Oh, missed that one. That's a wall.
Just a little bit of a pinch onto FPX.
So let's get back into this, right? We've got the Ludens now completed from Knight in the mid lane.
Yeah, you have Luden's or Archangel's Staff. As Taliyah, you need the mana to constantly push lane, so those are your 2 big options. But we have seen in the LCK that you kind of go for the tier and then go into Archangel's Staff, and then in the meantime, build the Banshees in between. That's a more defensive mindset. You get picked off easier. You get the Banshees a little bit faster. But what Knight is thinking right here is that I actually just need to push the lane faster. And play defensive that way.
Ooh, he might be in trouble. He's got Flash, Unstoppable Force, brings him low. Look at the damage, a solo kill.
And no one expected, because Malphite is going for the Triforce like we predicted in the ban picks. Malphite, he's really underrated as a top laner. A lot of times we've seen, if you're playing an off-roll, people will just pick up Malphite. You have a relatively clean early laning phase. It's very easy to pick up CS with your Q, with your AoE. You can sit underneath tower just fine. And then when you pick your Triforce, people don't have their mentality switched up enough in time. It's like, wait a minute, this Malphite is now going in on me?
Yeah.
He's been sitting under the tower for the first 10 minutes.
He's doing damage. Why is he doing damage? Oh god, it hurts. And then you're dead.
Yeah.
So the question is, how does Xiao Al react to that? He's already got the Tiamat and a Vamp Scepter, which to me says Ravenous Hydra split push, but that seems dangerous against a pick team.
Yeah, in this type of a matchup, you actually need the Titanic Hydra.
Okay.
Just to survive, just because Malphite has so much damage. So the way Xiao is going, yes, he'll have a very strong late-game split push build, but for now, he's not that good against Malphite.
Oh, Pepper trying to get the auto attack and collapse onto Knight, prevent him from getting down, but he misses it, and Knight surfs right on by, turning that around, getting the kill onto Gimgoon.
Oh, what a missed opportunity. A flag, a Demacian standard could have stopped that from happening.
Yeah,
but
it seemed like he knew it too. He was sitting right on the track. He backed away out of it, then perhaps maybe A-click just a bit too soon. But like you said, very close. Still, FPX, they knew what they wanted to do, weren't quite able to pull it off. Again, trying to bait Knight down to that bottom lane, use Xiao Al as his own bait against his team. But now it's 3-5, 1,000 gold advantage for FPX. Now they're going to get a chance to do some damage onto another turret as Fury finally finishing off his Infinity Edge, trying, but unsuccessfully, defending that top tier 1 as it's being chipped away by LWX.
Yeah, they did move down to try and help out the bottom lane fight, so left lane for a while, and that's why FPX got such a large window to deal damage in the top lane.
And now that the Baron is up as well, tons of priority on that pit. You can see the trap line coming out past that red buff as Knight continues to hold ground in the mid lane. Slowly but surely hemorrhaging health on this turret, but still holding on to it. And the game slows down once again as everyone completes their recall. Gimgoon with his teleport heads back to the bottom lane. No Triforce finish just yet. Still no Ravenous Hydra for Xiao either. Though we do now see the Liandry's finished for Knight, so he's going for extended fights. No Banshee's Veil second. No safety, no nothing.
Knight is just one of those guys that really emphasizes damage. He actually has the best damage efficiency out of any mid laner in the LPL. You give him gold, this guy will give you tons and tons of damage.
Especially with the Liandry's Torment Madness on the likes of a big old tanky Malphite, big old tanky Alistar. That's going to be great. But that said, they've just given up so much presence on the map. By seeding past the river, that's going to be a Cloud Dragon taken by FPX. Smooth moves on that.
And this does open up another win condition for FPX in the mid to late game. It is that second Elder Drake. What is it called?
Dragon.
Elder Dragon, yeah, sorry. The Elder Dragon, going to give them 100% buff to previous Elemental Drakes. So that's a huge thing to look for, and the damage itself should just be able to end games.
Of course, they need to survive that long. At the soonest, that's 43 minutes with a 35-minute initial spawn and 8-minute respawn. Knight, ooh, looking to trade with Bing, but there's the chase. Xiao Al has found Bing. And though Deceptive LeBlanc may be, she cannot escape from the Hextech ultimatum.
I love watching catch versus catch matchups. It's all about who can move around the map faster. It's a lot about execution and mechanics at the same time. And most importantly, team coordination. 3 people coming in at the same time, cutting out 3 routes for Bing. There was nowhere he could go.
Now that brings it 5-4. Only 1,000 gold difference between the two teams. And Suning still have that gold standing on the map. There are 3 tier 1s slowly being chipped away, as Crisp and Pepper going to try clearing out some of this vision from Suning. And FPX, they've been doing a great job playing with this vision, but here is just a single lapse, and Hacker races in to punish, along with Xiao Al from the other side.
Well, it's really interesting. This wasn't scripted from Suning Gaming. They pretty much just baited Bing to go aggressive right there. Like, Bing's not a very easy champion to catch up, but they still managed to do it. A little bit of misplay from Bing, and fortunate that Camille was around.
Oh, there's a fight breaking out top lane. Yoon is already dead as Pepper manages to get the kill. Weaver's Wall tries to zone them out, but Bing chases. Flash from Fury and a QSS to clear the slow, as Knight trying to catch up, but there's a Cataclysm. Fury locked down. Another kill to FPX.
5-man converging on the map at once. Heal forced out.
And Newt. Knight with some big damage, able to get the knockup. Newt, I've never called him that before. Onto 4 members. Buys time for Xiao Al to actually chip down on that mid-tier 1, finally breaking the first tier 1 turret for them, but FPX turn their sights onto the Baron. Hacker is there. He's got Flash, he's got Smite. 13-13. Control Ward trying to zone this out. Baron is getting low. It's time to choose. Do they commit or do they fight? Knight goes in for the damage. Unstoppable Force misses, and they follow forward. Gimgoon buys enough time. Xiao Al goes low, but they trade top laner for top laner. Pepper flashes away, but that will be Hacker falling with Knight trading more damage on the harass. Baron is dissuaded.
Knight made the right call. He's doing so much damage. He's staying back and able to chip out with that Liandry's Madness sort of passive there.
Oh man, the Ethereal Chains almost catching onto Knight again. Relying on his team and his positioning to keep himself safe against so much pick. And he only has a single death.
But overall, though, still a very good sequence of plays from FPX. They pick up 4 kills and 1 tower in the top lane, where Suning Gaming only able to trade back 2 kills of their own.
That is going to be an 1,800 gold advantage when it's all said and done, though that mid-tier 1 traded for the top tier 1. Fury at 2.5 items with his QSS is now going to potentially break it down. He's thinking about staying, but without a flash when facing down a Varus, it's so risky. Decides to bail, leaving the turret with barely a breath of life left.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for Suning to deal with the front line from FPX, and here another gank coming in.
They almost catch him again, but this time Fury, well aware of what happens, relies on Yoon to keep him safe. And the communication from Suning to have to respect this has got to be so sharp for them to be able to back away so quickly.
Yeah, they definitely, I think the Thresh was a bit more planned than we understood. Definitely read the composition from FPX, knew that they were playing a very heavy catch type of comp.
Now we can see FPX trying to bait out the Baron. They have so many wards on that side of the map, but still not enough. A good hook onto Pepper, plus some more damage is going to chunk him down a third, but Crisp is on the side. He doesn't have flash, but he does have his ultimate. He's coming in from behind them right now. He's managed to get behind Fury.
That's Fury.
The pulverize. That's the knockup. The CC chain, and they get the kill. Yoon locked down, drops the box on top of the Cataclysm, and now FPX, after killing the bottom lane, set their sights on Baron.
I guess Vision is the enemy of Chaos because FPX is doing so well in these patches. Nothing on the left side from Suning to spot out any of these hidden cows in the brushes, and they're able to make such a clean pick.
Xiao Al chases Bing down, chunks him down to half. Hacker looking for the big flash, but he backs away just in time. He's got the flash ready. That's 1,300 health. He's over, and he steals it! The mistake from Pepper. He smites too soon and trades it over for his life.
Oh my... Has the final flash, goes over the wall, 180 hit points on the Baron right there, and he manages to steal it away from Pepper.
Oh man, Hacker keeping Suning in this game 0-4, but still able to get it. He used the smite, he used it too soon. Look at the health it goes down to.
Oh, actually he did, sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. Let's get into this. Hacker comes in from the side, Pepper is ready, but they mistime it. 180 health in between the abilities.
Yeah, he smites too fast. Pepper just too fast on the trigger. They had such a good early fight and then gave it away. This is going to allow Suning Game to really scale up and wait for those armor penetration items on Fury. We could see before the fight he was going for the longsword, so he knew that just the crit wasn't enough. He's going up against Malphite and Pepper with a Dead Man's Plate, so he really needs that armor penetration as soon as possible.
He's certainly going to be building towards it. Now you can see the new Baron buff, 8.4 Baron buff for the likes of Suning. Very strong caster minions, very strong melee minions, and of course the cannons as strong as ever against the likes of turrets.
Yes, does give you more 80 AP as the game scales on, and the main thing is about the cannon minion. Now with the Banner of Command, LCK likes to call it Banner minions, but Banner of Command and the Baron buff now do apply correctly to towers. That's 300 extra damage from a Banyan minion every shot. So it was a bug fix. We'd like to say sorry, guys, but it's a massively game-changing bug fix.
It really is. That being said, the only members with the likes of the Baron buff is Xiao Al and Knight, as everyone else died or was dead when the Baron was stolen by hackers. So it's not going to yield too many results for Suning for the time being. FPX well aware of this, take their third dragon of the game. And the next one's Elder. It's going to be about 36, 37 minutes in when it spawns, putting the final Elder, I say the final, the second Super Elder at about 45 minutes if they take it on spawn. But FPX, they've been keeping sight of those long-term objectives, controlling the neutral half of the map. And if wards have been any indication, playing a very intelligent, vision-based pick game that Suning are just struggling to keep up with, but somehow are still keeping up with.
And I think you can see one of the big changes here is that both of our mid laners are sticking onto their yellow trinkets, trying to have more vision for the entirety. Now, before this, we did have kind of a split. A lot of mid laners would decide to go for the sweeper.
As we can see Xiao Al taking the bottom tier one finally. Gimgoon even teleporting in to help secure the kill. 3 members versus the 1. And as a trade-off, though, Suning will get the turret and finally start to push up in that mid lane just a bit more. Still not resulting in too much, though.
Bad play from Shala, pushing up way too far. There's no pressure anywhere else on the map for them, so a bit of a throwing his life away right there. If you're playing a 4-1 composition, you always want another point on the map to be pushing with you.
Now, Knight pushing up top lane. He's going to take the role of that 4-1, though with the likes of Airy and not Unsealed Spellbook. He's stuck with that heal the entire game. As is Bing with the Electrocute. He already took the teleport, well aware of how he needed to build this. And now we've got the new Rabadon's Death Cap, level 18 for Knight. Only 33 minutes in. Holy cow, that's a lot of AP.
I love how they changed the item pathing for Rabadon's Death Cap.
Double NLR?
Yeah. Just to hit the point home. It's double needless. So more AP.
If you really need bucket loads of ability power, this is the item that you're going to be building. Finally, I think this might be the first time in the game, outside of that first buff, Hacker is allowed to take his red buff, and Fury's there. He's late enough in the game that the AD carry gets it. LWX has to back away from the Weaver's Wall. Bing leaps forward, doesn't have enough to finish it off.
That was a very long wall toss from LWX's side. He was pushed back all the way towards River, which is surprising.
Might have just been clicking or trying to get a move animation or something. But still, the turret finally falls. Crisp stepping forward to deny some of the vision for Suning and continuing to provide safe avenues to flank and collapse and look for the picks that his team composition so demands. But without that Baron to break the base, with Suning sitting back and not letting themselves get picked off, it just became a whole lot more difficult for FPX.
And they are going to have to come out of their own base at some time for Suning Gaming. They are more the defensive side right now. But the Elder Drake is coming up, and FPX are sitting up on 3 Drakes already. So that's going to be the next big point of contention on the map.
In a few more minutes, look for the Elder Dragon fight. 5v5, bring your best, we'll bring our best sort of thing.
Definitely.
Did we just see a 30-minute battlecruiser rush? No zerging in this game. Everyone's just playing it slow. FPX, they're trying to send harass and all that, yeah.
From FPX.
But now we're starting to get towards that mid-late game. And Suning, they're keeping pace. They're only 2,000 gold down. Still, FPX are just hunting for any signs of weakness. They've found several openings with the likes of Xiao Al's split push, but they haven't been able to do too much with those split push picks.
The big things to notice is what flanks can FPX get off? If Bing or Crisp can come from behind the enemy team, then they could very easily punish Fury. But otherwise, just going like a full frontal assault is a bit difficult. I'm really interested in what the Camille Malphite interaction is. So I'm wondering if Camille can actually ult Gimgoon midway to just stop him.
As he's ulting?
Yeah, I guess you can't.
I believe that he stops when he hits the edge of the box.
But you have to put it on before he actually starts the animation. Okay.
Because if you drop down while he's moving, he will continue to travel the distance because the box will be centered on him when he's already halfway there. You just saw an attempted pick from Yoon, tossing out the hook, not quite finding anyone. There's the Lord Dominic's regards that you were talking about.
Lord Dom's with me right now. Is that how he got his name?
Yes. No, a different Dominic.
Okay.
But still, FPX, they're looking for a pick. They're going to find Xiao Al again on the bottom half of the map. Finally locking him down. Look at all of the crowd control. Sterix buys a lot of time. Flash and he gets the kill. Xiao Al trading 1 for 1. And the Baron's up in 6 seconds.
That's insane. He manages to survive with the Sterix gauge and then travel back the damage, and then like trade back the damage with the second proc of Q.
Oh, now Hacker feels empowered to step up. There's still a lot of CC, but without LeBlanc, a lot of the damage is missing. Red buff is ready, but you can see some wards being placed by Suning around this Baron buff. Gimgoon going to try to make the best of it. He's pushing the bottom tier 2 as Suning swap towards the mid lane, knowing they've still got control over the river, over the Baron, so they've got a huge triangle that they can move through right now. But still, FPX, they're going to trade with the likes of Gimgoon, who's still sitting on his teleport, and again he goes in. Oh no! Pulls him out of the flag and drag. Finally using the stopwatch, but there's just so much damage, so much CC, no escape for the jungler just as Bing spawns.
And they do have the teleport from Xiao Al, so they could look to start this Baron immediately.
Tragically, animation canceled as it was happening. Now we know what takes priority. All right, now Suning turn onto the Baron. They're chunking through its health. Teleport from Gimgoon to get in as Xiao Al follows up. Weaver's Wall splits the team in two, and look at the damage on LWX. He's pinned against the wall, flashes over. Gimgoon in the front. The AoE being traded in this front to back, but Crisp is turning it around. Xiao Al chases LWX on the side, eats a chunk as Gimgoon gets pulled in. A 3-man knockup is not enough. Another kill to Suning.
Oh, and all this starting from Pepper being caught out there in his own jungle, venturing too far in. Wanted to keep tracks if SMG was starting already.
And now the Baron is being taken successfully by Suning. That said, FPX are not sitting idle. They turn towards the Elder Dragon, happy to take it. And now we get to see 8.4 Baron versus 8.4 Elder.
Now, just to remind everyone, the first Elder Dragon actually isn't buff. You have to wait for the second Elder Dragon for your own team to get the 100% buff from Elemental Drakes. So the first one isn't the nail in the coffin, but if anyone takes the second one, I expect a 100% win rate.
Look at this. Bing hunting out anyone who might be caught out of position, but Suning playing it so slow, so respectfully. Don't allow themselves to give it up. Here's that fight again.
No flanks from FPX. LWX caught in a very bad position against a wall and a hard place. And this is frankly a very simple cleanup for SNG right here. LWX is forced out of the fight pretty early on. More damage traded back, and they just give up Malphite.
Yeah, Kim-Gun, the sacrifice left by FPX. And now, finally, we're starting to see some of these side lanes taken. The top tier 2 broken down by Xiao Al during the course of that fight. Finally, Suning Gaming for the first time in what feels like the entire game with a gold lead, though it is only about 500. Here you can see the Elder Dragon changes. Respawn time down from 10 minutes to 8, and that massive damage on the second Elder.
Yeah, Suning Gaming should look to play more passively for the first 150 seconds. They don't really want to run into FPX now. They're staying on their side of the map and waiting for that buff to really fall off.
Taking a fight with a high damage team like FPX with that much crowd control and an Elder is only asking for trouble. So they sit back, they're keeping themselves on their own side of the map behind the safety of their vision. And FPX, they're saying, come on, step into the trap. The bear jaws are ready to snap shut. But Suning treading carefully in this forest.
It's a bit of a missed opportunity from Yoon right there. Didn't go for the Banner of Command. Went for the old Iron Solari. Oh, actually, someone did pick it up. Let's see what it is. Oh, Hacker did pick one up. Okay, so that's why they're not going for it. After the Elder Dragon does fall off, they have a very good pushing potential in here. Now the buff up cannon minions do 300 extra damage a shot to towers. Like Jat did the math, it's only 5 seconds for a tower to fall right now. Incredibly fast.
That said, Elder Dragon is about to wear off, and Suning, exactly as you predicted, Clement. Push up onto the map in the mid lane, push up top, no teleport for Xiao Al, so he's going to have to play safe here. Even the Scryer's Bloom used to try to clear out some of this vision. But FPX, they are not done trying to set a trap. They're sitting so close to their base, daring Suning to siege forward.
And it does look like Suning is going to have one last charge of the Banner of Command. Now, you only get one every 4 minion waves, and it's on a 120-second cooldown. So I want to see if Suning can use that wave to really break the base.
Of course, Baron is also falling off the likes of Suning. So in the end, the two buffs set to equalize the match, but the next two could very well decide it. We've talked about how strong that new Guardian Angel is, as Bing using that decoy to scout around the map. Fury holding his ground. One of those days it's not going to be a decoy. It's actually going to be a LeBlanc.
What?
And it's going to be terrifying.
Hacker didn't use his Banner of Command. Oh, that's...
He's still sitting on it. Like, he's got the charge ready.
Yeah, but they don't have the Baron anymore.
Yeah, they've got a minion now pushing in that bottom wave. Xiao Al, along with the rest of Night, they decide not to go top. It's a feint towards the bottom side, and there's the bannered minion. They finally break down the last tier 2 as Suning playing so slow and so patient.
This is smart from Suning. So he held on for the onto the banner, didn't want to use it with the Baron buff combined, just so they could then move back and get more vision control on the Elder.
And this game is really starting to feel like a trial by fire for the likes of Suning. You know, we criticize them as a team because they are young. They are not very mature. They make a young team's mistakes. Against a composition and a team like FPX, they cannot afford to make those mistakes. That's what FPX's entire composition is built around. So what better way than to help Suning learn and grow than play something that could prey on their weaknesses.
Fury,
but as I'm commenting on it, they turn into the fight and pick off Yoon. Fury, like you said, he's escaping for now, but Bing is looking for the chase. QSS for some speed, excuse me, the Mercurial Scimitar, and traps to prevent the escape. Still, though, that's only one person who has died, and FPX still baiting out something, anything, and Suning take the safe route to defend their high ground.
Very good move on the map from FPX. They knew that SNG used all their vision in the bot side, instantly swapped towards the top for a pick.
That said, there's the Predator. Still, the inhibitor goes down. Flash, Chains of Corruption onto Knight. The lack of safety. He's healed by the Redemption, but only barely. As Xiao Al goes in, he manages to kill off LWX. Now it's up to Bing. But Xiao Al with a double kill. I cannot believe the damage that this guy is doing as Fury follows up, gets the sweep. Another one, triple kill. He's chasing down Kim-Gun. The full damage, minus the Randuins, to trade back against this massive Malphite. He will not let him go quietly. quietly into the night. Still, Fury's even trying to get in there. As it's slow after slow, the mountain slowly moves. Oh man, like the wind and the rain, the rocks will fall. Gimgoon finally makes his way back to his base, but look at that. Suning have turned the push completely.
What a hero play from Xiaoao right there. He goes in, kills 2 people, saves his own mid laner, and wins the entire fight for them.
Now Fury's massive and Knight is back up. They could try to end the game right here. There's 2 members left for FPX, and they don't do a ton of damage. Pepper tries to go in and turns it around with the Cataclysm. They're trying to clear the minion wave, but GA has been popped. Trapped underneath it is going to hurt, but still, it's 5 seconds for LWX. Pepper goes down on the fountain, and still Suning looking to attack more, but they're backing away. The minion wave is back up. You can see a bit of hesitation still. They try to go back in, and Fury finally heads back in. Gimgoon with the Righteous Glory tries to stall him out. Chris, as Gimgoon steps forward, Xiaoao again, but Yoon is dead. They're still kiting it out. The carry's in the back. Xiaoao trying to survive, but still, Fury is out of his mind. I cannot believe he's still going as Knight chases it up. A double kill, soon to be a triple, and Suning backing away, bait FPX forward, win the fight, and are set to win the game.
And what looked like the mistake from Fury, he missed the Thresh Lantern, but finished the fight regardless. Headshot after headshot coming out against LWX to pick apart the composition.
The 6-item Caitlyn is the deadliest. 45 minutes in, Suning turn on and win game 1.
Oh, hero play after hero play. It looked like the end for Suning Gaming right there. Another late game mishap. Knight being on low HP, but then out of nowhere, Xiaoao flies in, picks off 2 people, and they get the reverse win. You know, this is when like breaking down and analysis sometimes doesn't really matter. It's about how players play in the heat of the moment. In that split-second decision-making, just oh wow, that was a treat to watch.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And this is why we talk about the team growing so much. What an amazing confidence play to step up onto FPX. 45 minutes in, man down. Knight back in the base, and Xiaoao says, you know what? I think we got this. Engages 1v5 and proceeds to get not 1 but 2 kills, freeing Fury to walk up and just chase down the rest.
This is just amazing. Xiaoao was not having a terribly good game before this. He got caught out so many times in the side lane, but to pull it all back in the last team fight, that's redemption.
It certainly is. Yeah, it might not be up to us to break down the game. It's up to our analysts. It's all yours.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't come down to the analysis, but we're going to give it our best shot at looking at this one. So let's give it a go. And we're going to start this off with Champion Select, because I know it was a long time ago and everyone's still hyped about the final fight, but it is important to talk about. So just taking a look at some of the bans here, there was not a lot of priority towards Skarner, despite him being, as we were saying, one of the highest priorities junglers on this patch.
I mean, to be fair, we said there were 3 junglers that were super high priority. You will note that Zac and Sejuani were banned in the second ban phase by FPX. The third was picked then subsequently by Suning Gaming, which was the Skarner. Not surprised to see that locked in with a super high priority. And then we saw a Jarvan as a response, actually, from FPX. And I'm not surprised by that at all. It's Pepper. He does love to play his Jarvans. He loves to be offensive and do damage. And look, for what it's worth, that's the jungle aspect of the draft. That wasn't really a major surprise. It's something out of the ordinary. The top lane was a bit of a surprise, Pulse.
Oh, it definitely was. Picking up the Camille, okay, and then it's the Malphite response as the final pick from Gimgoon. Now, we were looking at it and it was just like, where's the Volibear? Is Volibear going to come in? Super good matchup into Camille? No. It is the Malphite in the end, and it's like, matchup, if it gets ahead, it's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. The way that the 1v1 tends to work between these guys is that the Malphite, if a tank ever snowballs against a Camille, whoever falls behind, then neither champion's really able to contribute. Most Camilles will start to split push. They'll start to have a really bad time, build lifesteal, and just sit in a side lane, constantly try and take down turrets and claw their way back into the game for the team through objective control, where the Malphite, if he gets going, doesn't really care about the split push. He's there just to 1v1 and handle Camille, and then he's team fighting, he's grouping, he's trying to ult 5 people and just have the time of his life. And honestly, the game started out that way for the top lane specifically, with the Malphite doing very well, controlling the lane, and the rest of his map was winning.
Yeah, and then later Malphite was actually able to 1v1 the Camille in a side lane, even get a solo kill there as well. But then it was about the early game, right, where we look towards Suning Gaming and FPX, and you look at those two names and you're like, it's going to be a bloodbath in the early game. We're on 8.4, there's less wards, they're just going to fight it out. No, actually what we saw in the early game in terms of styles was a complete swap up, and it was actually a very slow early game.
It was really interesting actually to watch FPX playing. I know I said that Suning Gaming will be a slower paced team. They've been trying very hard to do the macro style and just calm down the pace of the game. But it almost felt like FPX were like, heck yeah, like let's just do it. Let's slow the pace of the game down. Let's just draft the strong 2v2 with jungle and mid lane, have LeBlanc and Jarvan pressure constantly, and keep the Skarner down. It's like they wanted the Skarner. They were prepared to combat the Skarner for the early game and snowball a lead through that. And it did start out that way. It actually started fantastically with pressure in the jungle, went down to the bottom lane. Everything was going right for them. Malphite had a Trinity Force. He was 1v1 in Camille. Like, all set up to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. You know, props to Pepper as well in the jungle. Also with that 2v2 mid and jungle duo. The fact that Pepper just wasn't going ham all the time. He was actually controlling the early game, allowing them to do things. However, all of that was like great. Early game goes over to FPX. What do they do next? Well, they go towards the Baron. And that was very much a 50-50, which got turned around on.
Yep, so the Smite, you'll see it go very low health here. Just watch it now. 180 health on the Smite, 18 health before Hacker is able to smite that himself and take it away. That close to getting the Baron, and you would have to say, for FPX, that close to getting an extra victory there and finishing out potentially the entire game. Their composition with the Baron would have been able to take down structures, but on the opposite side, when Suning Gaming get it, they were bought time. And if nothing else, the time is enough to get them to further items, to get them to further stages in the game. And once you hit that point, when a Caitlyn has 6 items, when Xiao gets to 4 items, gets to 5 items, and starts feeling himself, then the tides turn.
100%. And FPX after that were able to regain control over the game, were able to push up to Suning Gaming. It actually looked like they were going to win the game up until the very end of the game, and it actually took Xiao going hero to turn it.
It certainly did. Now, this fight starts off with Knight caught well out of position, but because of FPX's team composition, when they go forwards, they have no way of going backwards. So who's going to keep their AD carry alive when Xiao's getting into the flank, getting into the back line? This front to back was in complete shambles, and suddenly Suning Gaming were just able to walk over them. Compliments of this man on your screen.
Exactly. He didn't have the best laning phase, didn't even have the best side lane. However, when it really counted in the moment, he made it happen. 26.7% of team's damage. I feel like a lot of that was probably in that final fight right there. Managed to turn it around, and then they sweep the game following that play, run them all the way to base. So really good stuff coming out of Suning, just managing to play up in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. FPX start getting picks. They start pulling it back. They were about to get the victory. Suddenly Xiao makes a hero play, and then Fury does the same thing, exactly the same afterwards. And those 2 hero moments is enough to get them a victory when perhaps they shouldn't have deserved it at all.
Sure, and it was good stuff from both of the 2 teams. We have to compliment, of course, FPX and how they handled that early game. We'll see if they can do it again heading into game 2, because of course this is the best of 3 series. For now, we are going to send it to a quick break before we get an answer to that question.